back to the 23rd Annual Wild and Scenic Film Festival right here in Nevada City, Grass Valley, California. I'm your host for this segment. I'm Kimberly Ewing, and I have been so inspired by everybody here. Inspired activism, humanitarianism, and the life of our earth. It's all here at our Wild and Scenic. And today, right now, we have Ben and Charlie with the film A Human Side to Plastic. Is that the correct title?
The Human Side of Plastics.
The Human Side of Plastics. Well, welcome both of you.
Thank you
very much.
It's great to be here.
Thank you for showing us the human side. And a lot of these stories are intertwining the human side of what's happening to our planet. Tell me a little bit about the movie. It's in Senegal.
Yep.
But tell me a little bit about the story that intertwines in the movie.
The film is the first in a series that we're doing.
Okay.
And the whole idea behind the films is that we are looking to, I think oftentimes you can look at things like the plastic crisis and become overwhelmed. And I think it's very difficult to know where to begin. So we're trying to tell inspirational stories of people who are making a difference in their communities, but that it's also educating people about the problem and about what you can do as individuals. So in this case, we're following this really inspiring character, Babacar, who's a surfer in Senegal. And he runs this really cool surf club.
Right.
And he became very concerned with the plastic pollution on the beach in Senegal. And so he started up this zero waste movement. And his was the first restaurant to become zero waste in the country. And now there's 68. Is that right, Charlie? Yeah.
That's amazing. I remember seeing the film. He's such a sweet soul, too. You can just feel his heart when he speaks. And to be the brave first one, he said in the film, you know, I was the first to go zero waste, and it wasn't always well received. And people were like, I'm going to go somewhere else. But someone's got to start it. And I'm so proud of him that he did. Does he understand the significance of that as being the first, of being the brave one?
I mean, he's sort of a minor celebrity. I mean, you can speak to that, Charlie.
Yeah, so like it really, like, his personality is exactly what you see on screen. He really is a pioneer. Everything that he does is so genuine. Like, I feel like a lot of the time you can really see what someone is doing by how they're received off camera. And everyone who come in was just like so engaged. I mean, he was so, like, you could tell all these real beautiful friendships and relationships, and everyone that he worked with love him. Like, really, like, he is actually like a minor celebrity. Everywhere you go, people speaking to him. Anyone that you speak to about him is like, oh, Babacar. So yeah, he was just a really inspiring person to spend time with.
I bet.
And just like super selfless. Like, really, like, he's not. There's no element of what he's doing that is like a self-serving thing. I really feel like everything that he was and is currently doing is about benefiting the planet and his local community.
And you can tell when he's walking along the beach, when he talks of his childhood, years ago, when the beaches didn't look like they do now, and that kind of hurts his heart a little bit, and it kind of motivated him to make a difference. And when you look at that film, what I love about his influence is that the kids are following him too. Tell us a little bit about the educational part of his change and what he did for his restaurant and for his community.
I think there's a couple components to the way Babacar is trying to be in the world, and one is through, I think, his own business. He wanted to make sure that he was both doing the right thing in his business, but then setting an example.
Sure.
Babacar also works with a nonprofit called the Surfrider Foundation, and he helped set up their office there in Senegal. And so they do monthly beach cleanups and educational programs and that kind of stuff, which are also featured in the film.
Right, and that's the part I was like, oh, the kids are getting on the surfboards and having fun, playing. And one of the nuggets from the film that I gathered was that if you bring in the young and show them the love of the ocean, that their relationship might be different in how they treat it.
Absolutely.
Well,
and there's a whole sort of movement there, Charlie, that you became very interested in, is sort of Babacar, in addition to his plastics work, he's inspiring this whole generation of surfers in Senegal. And there's now an African Surf Cup and all of that. And you were a big part of that, Charlie.
So, tell us more about that. That's so great.
Yeah, I mean, from spending time with him, like, one of the biggest things in terms of importance for him is the next generation, and not even making them aware, but really educating them. So like, just for example, and this is another testament of his character, is every day at breakfast and lunch he feeds 50 street kids, but not so they come in there and it's all free, and he provides just a huge platter of food. But because he now has developed these relationships with them, and these are kids who are from neighboring countries who come in, don't have any parents, when he almost becomes this like father figure, but then brings them in on this educational journey and helps them with surfing, but also it educates them and inspires them. So they're growing up on the streets in Dakar, and he's educating them. He's like showing them a way to live that makes them really like conscious citizens. So it's just it's really inspiring, and like he is so rooted in his community.
Yeah.
Like obviously he's made a wide impact. But everything he does on a day-to-day basis is really about helping those around him, and especially those who are coming through.
And what a great idea to feed people.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody gets affected by the love of food in your belly, and to bring in the kids to see that. It's just, that warms my heart. I'm an educator, so for me, it's all about education. It's all about bringing up youth being aware and knowing every action's consequence. What were both your roles in the film? Ben, you were the director?
Yeah. The way that we tend to make films is, I think sometimes you can get caught up on titles. It's very much a collaborative effort.
I'm sure you have many hats.
For all of us, yeah. and we all wore many hats. I did sort of the research and the initial contact and sort of the film development and production in the beginning. I actually had another production during the filming. So Charlie was in Senegal to do the filming, and then I sort of did a lot of the direction with the rest of the team in the post-production piece of it, but we all worked together.
I'm sure it's like many people, like few people, many hats as productions go. But tell me, how did you find this story?
Just good old-fashioned gumshoe researching. We were looking for the series of films that we're doing it in partnership with the company SC Johnson, which is a consumer goods company that's very committed to promoting responsible use of plastics and actually plastic legislation. And that's a big use of the film. The world premiere was at the INC5 meeting in Busan, Korea, where they were negotiating for an international plastics treaty. Like, that's been the whole purpose of this. So we're scouring the globe for stories. And we initially got in touch with Babacar through Surfrider. They sort of suggested him as a real shining light. Okay. And I reached out to him, and we spoke, and it was immediate to us that was the story we wanted to tell.
And I mean, tell us a little bit about how and what is happening with the plastic industry.
I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, there's the plastic industry, in terms of what we're looking at globally, is, there's a lot of plastic being produced. Plastic is an essential part of our lives. None of us would want to go to the hospital and not have things in sterile plastic packaging. It's a crucial part of our lives, but as a society or as a community or as an industry, we're not managing the end use. And in America, when you look at, for example, California has passed EPR legislation, which is extended producer responsibility. The idea behind that is that the producers of the plastic are invested in the end use of the plastic. And so the complexities of recycling plastic take a coordinated approach. So like one example would be if all laundry detergent packaging was the same color, recycling that packaging would be so much easier, because you can't produce white plastic if you have one black bin in there.
Correct.
And so what needs to happen is, on an industry-wide level, there needs to be coordination of reusing plastic, looking at it as a somewhat renewable resource, trying to reduce single-use plastics, trying to be thoughtful about how we're utilizing this resource to keep it out of our environment and to keep it useful and to improve our lives, right? And so there are things that are happening, like British Columbia, for example, has an excellent recycling program, and they've fully implemented this extended producer responsibility. And so what's happening there is that they're recycling more and more products because people, the consumer is more educated about how to engage with the recycling process, and the industries are getting more and more volume of the products that then they can efficiently turn into recycled plastic. In America, it's happening on a statewide level.
Right.
And that's kind of been a lot of what, these films are going to try to do, is to educate the American audience about, that's an area where, like here in California, they're still working out the details of the EPR legislation. It's important that Californians are, when you're talking to your elected representatives, letting them know that this is important, letting them know that this is something that we have to pass, because it's a resource management issue, and it's something that we have the capacity to do. We just need to have the will.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, what an important story. And Charlie, you were the cinematographer?
So I was producer, but I shot a lot. I wasn't the cinematographer, but yeah,
You were part of the crew.
I did quite a lot of camera work on it.
I have always wanted to travel to Senegal. Give me a, what was, I love that there's surfing there. What else was delightful there in Senegal?
It was the most unbelievable place. Like, it's hard to describe. It was manic, but the friendliness and the warmth and the generosity of everyone. I think the amount of times that we got asked, "Are you having a good time? Are you enjoying it here?"
Right.
Was crazy, because everyone was just so genuinely interested in how we were and how we were experiencing it. How we were enjoying the food, we were enjoying the culture, we were enjoying the beaches. Everyone was so proud of where they were from, and they were so proud of showing us around. And it helped that we had like a local celebrity take us around everywhere too. But
yes,
no,
Babacar was your guy.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. It was like I was really surprised. Dakar was super cosmopolitan, such a range of food, drink, places to go. The beaches were, while some were very heavily polluted, some breathtaking beaches. I would really recommend it. And there was such a diverse range of people from Africa and all over the world living there. Really young, interesting, creative scene. It's beautiful.
I can't wait. Well, it's so wonderful to have you guys, and you're screening in just like 20 minutes. Yeah. How are you guys feeling?
Really excited.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
This is the U.S. premiere of the film, so we're really excited to see how audiences respond to it, and to see it on a big screen for the first time for us. So we're really looking forward.
Well, we'll see you after and hear all the goodness from it. Thank you so much for coming, and let's give it up for Ben and Charlie from The Human Side of Plastics. Thank you guys, and good luck with the U.S. premiere, and we'll see you after to hear. Thank you. You're here at the Wild and Scenic. We'll see you in a minute.
Beauty, thank you. Well, you made it easy for us.
I could talk to you guys forever. It's so great, and I'm so proud.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And have fun at your premiere. We'll see you after.